There's a million and one ways you can do it. It's kind of terrifying. UCP protein is a really interesting one. For my interests, I just view it as a potential energy source. So if you could have like yeast that would eat garbage and produce heat, you'd have a pretty good source of energy there for like a home or something. It could literally eat your shit and generate electricity for your home. Nice little sustainability there. And my interest is mostly sustainability. So like the things I'm researching are like the protein that I designed has on one side a graphene binder, and on the other side a graphene binder, and in between is a silica binder. And this allows you to bind silica and graphene together into a kind of concrete material, and so you have a sustainable brick that you can just grow out of yeast. Or you can also do a fibrous material with the ligands in plants and have it attached to an alpha-mating protein so that the cell just poops out fibers and dries into a wood source that you don't have to cut down trees anymore. In my mind, I'm thinking like positively because I can see all the negative ways this thing can be used for. It's horrible. So I want to get into the positives first and get them, if possible, get those things patented so that at least I can make money on the positive when some nefarious person does something negative. I think you also mentioned preventing it to get into the ecosystem. So if you're a good scientist, what you do is you program into your modifications a dependency gene. Usually what this accounts to is you make the gene unable to produce some fundamental life thing without something you put into the petri dish. A lot of times that will be one of the you'll make it so that the cell can only make one letter of its DNA from a chemical in your petri dish. It falls on a petri dish, it can't make its own DNA, it just dies from being unable to fix its own DNA mutations. And so these are just like ways that, like you always want to aim for programmable dependency. And obviously any evil governments are probably thinking, how can I do it for a person also? But if your cell is dependent on something in your lab, it can't exist in a natural environment. So you always want to make sure that, if you're getting into this stuff and you decide to take a fly with it, always program in dependency, sugar dependency or proteins, some kind of like initial medium dependency, something that the cell is dependent on you to survive. So if it ever gets free, it can't actually live outside of your environment. It just dies. That's your basics failsafe. That's a fundamental failsafe. Everybody does this as a standard of an industry because if you don't and something bad happens, you're going to get executed by some angry government somewhere. And mind you, even if you get compatible with human biology, that's just one step in the process of becoming a threat to humanity. A virus can live in a human body, but it may not have the ability to replicate in the human body. To replicate in the human body, it has to develop a specific attachment protein. And that we all know now as a spike protein. That was the mutation that happened that allowed it to attach to human cells and thus replicate. You might think actually that the spike protein could have been engineered in a lab, because if you were researching it, the thing about coronaviruses is that, as you know, they spread very quickly. And so if you could get a modified coronavirus to attach to a human being, you could deliver medicine pretty quickly. And so I'm willing to give the Chinese the benefit of the doubt that the gain-of-function research they were doing was primarily medicinal, that they were looking to use the coronavirus as a modified virus that would attach to a human cell, deliver drugs, and then not be able to actually replicate in the human cell. But at some point in time, they fucked up, and it was able to not only attach to the human cell, but replicate in the human body. And when that happened, as you know, several lab officials got infected. They brought it into the general population unknowingly, or knowingly if you're a conspiracy theorist, and they accidentally unleashed what we have today.